Change 2018 Update 10.
Yes?
Yes, I always defer to Lisa because she always knows. Hello, Will and Lisa.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Jack. All right.
Good.
Yes.
Right, on to the loosely based topic around the word change this week, which has been influenced by our special guest this week, who is Faith, sat on the end there.
Hello, Faith.
Hello.
Just to point out before we go any further, the reason we're all wearing House of Bread t-shirts is because we've actually been doing something today, so we haven't all suddenly gone to the same
wardrobe.
Bit of outreach. Checking them covered in flour.
Yeah. Anyway, Faith is one of the many people who have come through the House of Bread to do with Staffordshire University and mental health nursing, mainly to look after me, Will and Lisa, but also to be working with the friends and learning all different things about what it's like working with homeless people. And that's what we're going to talk about in terms of change this week. It's all about having a positive attitude towards the help that's available and changing the negativity to positivity. When people go, oh, I've got to go to the doctors, oh, I've got to go and see the mental health nurse or whatever. That should be a positive thing.
It is, yes. So it was that conversation I was having with Faith, how her experience perhaps had changed, and were we, House of Bread, and did you feel that we were encouraging people to see change as a positive thing? And that sort of brought you along. So do you want to share our little conversation in terms of flesh that out a little bit?
Yeah. So in terms of how inclusive you are and how people can sustain the changes that they've made for as long as perhaps they feel is necessary and you guys feel is necessary, rather than transitioning super quickly.
And I think what was interesting was, how do we encourage that? What are the things that we should be doing as somebody who's going to be going into the profession?
What's the things we could change? Keeping that nice little loose thread in there.
I think it's like people's perceptions of changes, isn't it? Like the social element and the social interaction, and changing the lifestyle that people go back to once they've come out of services to create more positive changes and to sustain those changes, and little things like meeting for a coffee and those little tiny things, rather than setting a really focused goal and achieving it and then just moving forward, sort of changing
and actually
lifestyles.
Any change is a positive change.
Sort of changing the cycle that people go through of returning and ending up back in the very
the
same
old vicious circle.
Yeah, here it goes.
Every week. Is there any changes that you've seen since you've been... How long have you been in the system, as it were?
In mental health hospitals for like 5 years.
So have you noticed any changes, good or bad, in terms of how people are looked after?
I think everything's a lot more holistic now, rather than sort of...
Oh, look, you're quoting mine.
Oh, see, I'm learning so quickly.
And for somebody who doesn't know what holistic means,
so it's a more sort of well-rounded approach, rather than just focusing on medicating people or therapies or anything like that, looking at their family dynamics and their level of deprivation or their housing circumstances or their overall well-being, so all those factors, which I think are facilitated quite well by House of Bread.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
And it's about them really seeing that help is a positive thing, not something that's sort of putting on and go, oh, I'm needing help. But
be grateful that somebody is looking out for you.
Yeah.
Well,
as hard as
it's
it
about
is.
like being afraid to ask for things,
Yeah.
isn't it? Or thinking that you're perhaps weak, or that if you have to go out and ask, then are you worthy of it? And I think everybody's worthy at whatever level that is, even if that's just coming and having a coffee and a chat. People don't realise that food and diet affects your mental health, and that changing that, it is supporting somebody. Maybe people don't realise that they are supporting somebody.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it's important for people to know, because if you're not involved in the service, you won't know actually how good it is or how bad it is and what needs to change and what doesn't need to change. For example, you were saying, Faith, that when you started you couldn't release somebody who was NFA, no fixed abode, but now you can. So there are good things happening, there are bad things happening, but it's important for anybody at home who's sitting here thinking, gosh, what's this got to do with me? There are things that you can do to help people in any situation, because if anybody is released NFA, we can then hopefully not sweep them up, but just hopefully give them as much support as we can at House of Bread. So if you're supporting House of Bread, you're supporting those people.
Indeed.
Thank you three for being on the sofa this week for the Change 2018 video. Thank you, Will.
That's
Lisa,
all right,
and
Jack.
Faith.
Good to
Thank you, Jack.
hear.
Thank you
Very much for watching watching. Don't forget to check out Hob News, which is over on YouTube. And thank you to everybody who liked the London Marathon videos. That's coming up in the Hob News, a lot more on that. So do keep in contact with everything we're doing. Thank you very much for watching. We will see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.